B-O-A-B, baby, we're bums.
This old thing. Okay. Let's go! 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 So on our way to Cuba, we ripped our sail. We ripped a hole right in the middle, and we had to leave Cuba kind of in a hurry to beat some weather. So we taped it up the best we could here, and we never actually had to use our mainsail. Luckily, we left it down, just sailed on the jib and the engine. But today I'm going to attempt to sew a patch on, and I got this here speed stitcher, the awl. Now obviously, ideally I'd like to pay somebody, a seamstress or somebody with a sewing machine and a professional, bag this thing up, take it into town. Of course that's not my style though, so I'm going to do it by hand. I got here this, came with the boat, it's just sailcloth, thick, same thickness. So I'm going to cut a patch of it. I'm going to attempt to sew this on with the sewing awl. Done my research. We're going to see how this goes. Oh, this is the way they did it. Oh. That, huh? Very important. Goes. Holding it taut is really difficult inside of a boat, obviously. You just got to do what you got to do, and so I think I can do it like this, but it's going to be very difficult in the boat. Keeping it taut is the difficult thing here. So I'm going to get a little practice, see if I can get a few stitches in, and then I'll show you what I'm doing if I can be successful here. short of it, so far this has been very difficult to keep taut, and basically I'm just getting one side. I'm not worrying too much as long as it's really tight on this side, and then I think it's going to get even harder trying to make sure it's taut. But I started out trying to do this cool zigzag pattern, kind of had it going for a while here, and then I was running out of room on this side, so I've just kind of started going straight now. Yeah, I mean, obviously this wasn't going to be a professional job, but I'm going to keep going. I found these clamps to be really useful here. Just kind of clamp to keep this part here taut. So it's taut, and I'm gonna go do this part and then move my clamp over. And I've managed to keep her pretty taut so far. So we'll see, but these clamps, lifesaver. You can see how what a debacle it is in here. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, this has been a little bit brutal. Just the hot weather, it's been hours trying to get the sail taut, the main sail in this tiny little cabin. I'm gonna go take a break. I'm just being honest, it got a little irritating at times. Especially when I was almost done and then I made a rash decision real quick, and then made more work for myself and possibly messed it up. You can see this extra little patch here, right here. So I noticed it wasn't going to be completely taut, so I tried to make a little slice right here. And I figured I can overlap it and it would make it taut, but that was just a terrible idea. So I ended up having to cut out a little box, and then I just sewed a new patch over the top of it. So I'm not completely done yet, but I've got the whole thing at least sewed. I'm going to try to sew that guy back on right here, sew it on, and then I'm just going to punch a hole out in the middle of it. I think I'm gonna just take a breather and read a book and sit in front of a fan for a while, try to relax and breathe. The cabin is a little taken, and I got this awesome book here I've been reading, 1776. I'm about almost halfway through it. It's pretty interesting. I'm learning things I really wasn't aware of about. Now this fan is trying to poop out on me. Can you hear it squeaking? I would be smoked if it did. There we go. Let's go. Okay, so I've given it some reinforcements. Let's take a look here. So I went around so far from here and just stitched all the way around. Yeah, it's a little crinkled. I mean, I obviously didn't get it completely taut, so we'll see what happens when I try to use it, but it's pretty decent. Anyway, so I got this row here I'm gonna do. Let's go! This little thing. Had to know that it's not going to be perfect, and we're going to do our best, and then we're going to test it out, and then if it doesn't work, then we're going to go from there. way. You can see that. I sewed this reef kringle back on, reinforced it all the way like that, and then I also sewed a line all the way around the ring here, and then I just took a knife and cut it out so I can definitely get a line through that. And it looks like a preschool art project, but I'm actually fairly confident that it might just hold. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait a little bit to test it out until I get a few more things done. But there she is. See this here. Then there's a lot of threads going here, here, and everywhere where this reef kringle is. Coming around here, that's where I made a little mistake and had to add an extra patch. Coming down, reinforced around. A little scrunched up with my limited space here, but there's the reef kringle. Okay, all the way around. I double. There it is. This old thing. Okay, let's go. This old thing. Okay, let's go. This old thing. Okay, let's go. Okay, I went a little bit overboard tying it down because when the wind comes ripping through here, it sounds like something's gonna rip off. So I wanted this thing to be really tight, and obviously it's not folded up perfectly. But trying to make it aerodynamic and make sure it holds tight, because the nights have been getting pretty crazy. The wind really picks up, so I know you don't want a lot of drag. Sewing up the mainsail inside of the boat was very difficult. It would have been nice to be able to stretch it out, obviously, and that would be ideal. Speedy stitch I was impressed with. This thing is amazing here. This thing, it's a sewing awl. It ties a lock stitch, and it comes with some heavy duty thread, wax. It's already coated in wax, polyester thread, couple needles. This was amazing, and if I had probably more space, it might have turned out a little bit better than it was. Before I actually use that sail, I am gonna put sail tape all the way across the stitching and just cover the entire patch. The thread and just all the way across, I'm gonna put on both sides. I'm just gonna put sail tape, and that sounds smart. As far as folding up the sail, I was a little bit worried about how I bunched it up. It wasn't perfect when I put it up on the boom, and I talked to a good friend of mine, Chris Holbert, and he told me that he was informed by a sail maker that it's actually a good thing to not fold up your sail uniform, not to fold up your sail exactly the same every time, like an American flag, because that'll create scores, weak points, and then it's called dry rot, I guess, from the sun, and it'll actually make the sail weaker in those points where you fold it up exactly. So he said I'll be okay. It's probably a good thing that it's not folded up exact. It's kind of bunched up a little bit. That was tough. It was hot in here doing that. The last 5 nights or so in a row have been absolutely crazy, more or less. The wind, not insane, not super crazy, but the wind howls and there's lightning and thunder and rain. I was getting a little bit nervous a few of the nights. I talked to a buddy of mine, Tom Robillard, and he's a good friend of mine. He's a veteran caddy at a golf course that will remain unnamed. But Tom is kind of like my life caddy. I talked to him, and I was telling him about the weather and how it was really hard to sleep and how I was just kind of up and worried, and I had my key ready to start the engine. I had everything ready in case something slipped, and he said something that really, really stuck with me. It was pretty funny. He said, worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. And so, that being said, I've realized there's a fine line between being prepared. So you got to be prepared ahead of time for things to happen, obviously. But once you're prepared and you have your steps in line for whatever may occur, then you just relax. There's no need to worry. It's tough to do, but just relax. And when something happens, then you have your steps and you're prepared, but worrying doesn't really help. And so that was tough. I wasn't sleeping a few of the nights because I was just worrying about something happening, someone slipping, and just the noise that it makes up there and everything. So sewing your mainsail inside of a cabin is difficult, and it tests your patience for sure. I really hope it works. We'll definitely let you know as soon as I find out how she did.
As a matter of fact, we're bums on a boat. We're bums on a boat. B-O-A-B, baby, we're B-O-A-B, baby, we're B-O-A-B, baby, we're bums.
These are the tales of Boab.